If you treated your clients like you treat your marriage, your clients would fire you pretty quick. Now, there's been this thing I've noticed, actually just in the past couple months, no, I would say past year, where I've been really thinking about this idea of people I work with are driven people, ambitious people, entrepreneurs. They're hard workers, and there's nothing wrong with hard work. I want to start this video by saying that. What commonly happens is they have a very easy time prioritizing their professional life, but everything else in their personal life, their faith, their fitness, and their family kind of goes to the wayside. The problem is that many of you watching this have no issue getting up at 4 a.m. to get to work, to open up your laptop, start replying to emails, problem solve, answer those messages you missed yesterday. And this is a big reason I created what I call the Mission 30 Challenge. It's what we work on daily inside the Mission 30 app. It's 8 habits across faith, family, and fitness, and your mind and work. And a new round starts every month, with the doors only being open for a certain amount of time. It's only $49 a month. You cancel anytime. See the show notes if you want to get on the wait list for when the doors open up again. So there's 2 standards that people kind of run through. So 5 a.m. for business, you get up early, you can do that, but then the same thing doesn't happen in your personal life. You're rehearsing for your sales call or your sales meeting in the vehicle before you go inside or before you hop on the Zoom chat. You wouldn't miss a call, a sales call. You want to show up, you want to do a good job. You wouldn't miss a meeting with your team if you set a meeting up with your team. You can't just not show up to work, show up to your business and think it's going to continue to run. We know that. So then why is it different in our personal life? Why do we miss date night consistently? Why do we procrastinate on going to the gym? Why can't we be present with our kids? Maybe we're physically present, but we can't actually play with them. We're mentally doing something else. We're answering messages in between, trying to play Lego with them or something like that. So this is what I've landed on. There's instant gratification happening here. If I show up to a sales call, I know on that sales call, either I'm going to make the sale or I'm not going to make the sale. There's going to be instant feedback for my efforts in that moment. I know that if I show up for work, if you're an employee, you have to show up to meetings. If there's a transaction there, your time and energy involved equates to you getting paid. Now, think about these things in your personal life, things that give you instant feedback. Your phone does, whether that's answering work emails or answering texts or just scrolling through your phone on social media. Instant gratification, instant dopamine hit. Another chip from the chip bag, one dopamine hit, another dopamine hit. This instant gratification loop keeps happening over and over and over again. So your efforts with low friction in front of them are giving you something from it. I'm not saying that in work, there's not low friction. There's a high friction to some of the things you have to do in work, but there's still this carrot right behind your efforts, whether that's a win or a loss. When you watch your favorite TV show, there's actually a carrot leading you to the next episode. Next episode starting in X amount of seconds. Next time on this show, there's a carrot leading you to the next hit, the next scroll, the next episode, the next play. And this video, you clicked on it for some reason. And I'm trying to get better at understanding what helps people click because I want to reach you all. That's the thumbnail text, that's the title, how my face is positioned as I'm talking, the first 7 seconds. You watch this video because you want something out of it. You want to understand something, that there's a curiosity loop that was open when you click this, or you saw this when you were scrolling through your phone. I understand that this is not a bad thing. It's how our brains work. We intake a lot of our life through story, and there's a curiosity loop here. So I open it and hopefully I can close it for you and give you the information you want based on your clicking on this. So if there's no instant feedback for you, it's going to be more difficult to prioritize. Think about when you're dating, if you're married, when you're dating your spouse, your now spouse. You did a lot to pursue them. And if you honestly look at it now, you see it as it can be actually selfish, because that feeling of romance, the butterflies, that's a feeling you're getting. You're pursuing someone, but you're getting a feeling out of it. Someone admires you, someone wants to love you back. So there's not this friction there because you're getting something out of it. So what happens when you get married? The need to pursue in your mind goes away. You have the ring, and that's what a lot of us do. We take that for granted. That initial emotional response wore off. Same thing, and now we're in a world where we've been groomed to need this instant feedback loop. The money, the dopamine hit, the junk food satiation, instant gratification hit. And that's what's happening with these important things in life. There's a gap between our efforts and the payout of those efforts. But we are called to live differently. We're called to pick up our cross every single day and serve and love our spouse, to die to ourselves every single day, to live like Christ. And that means dying to my needs. But the cool thing is that's a joyful thing. If both people in a marriage, as an example, do that, that's joy-filled. And we are not to live transactionally. Your professional life is transactional. I understand that. Like there's a transaction happening here. I care for everyone as much as I can through a screen watching this, but there's still a transaction happening. And what you don't realize is that you're giving your best efforts to your professional life, whether you're at work or not at work, your mental capacity, your mental margin, your focus to your work, because you're getting feedback from that, because you're on the hook financially. You're pursuing the outcome of those relationships, pursuing the outcome of that vehicle, aka work. And God gave us work. Work is a good thing, but we should enjoy it for what it is. And we should steward well, but not get so caught up in the outcome, the byproduct of our efforts, and be focused on doing a good job in it. So then, resistance. Pursue the resistant thing. Pursue the thing that has a friction in front of it. Doing the dishes for your spouse, unloading the dishwasher, going on a date night, getting ready, getting a date, or getting a babysitter for your kids, home prepping a meal, going for a walk instead of laying on the couch. This is what the whole idea behind earn your dopamine means. Do the things that have friction in front of them. And there's a delayed response to these things. You might not see it right away, but it's building up to something. And your withdrawals, your neglect, mental, physical, spiritual, relational, professional, are building up to something too. 1 Corinthians 9, 24, 27. Do you know that in the race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we are imperishable, so do not run aimlessly. I do not box as one beating the air, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. Paul is running a timeline. The athlete trains for a wreath that dies. Paul trains for one that doesn't. And read the whole chapter, because this comes to the end of Paul giving up things he had every right to. Pay, food, comfort. He gave them up so somebody else would get the gospel. So that's the model we should pursue, not just self-improvement. Giving up a right you actually have for someone who isn't paying you back. So non-transactional, sacrificial. Hebrews 11, 24, 26. By faith, Moses, when he was grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to be mistreated with the people of God than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He considered the reproach of Christ greater wealth than the treasures of Egypt, for he was looking to the reward. What Moses walked away from was a whole life, the court, the money, the name, and staying would have meant standing next to Pharaoh while Pharaoh crushed his own people. He did the math on the timeline. Egypt paid now. What he chose paid decades out, and most of it after he was long gone. He was looking at a reward he could not see yet, and that's the whole skill, and it's a thing that last 20 years trained out of you. The last 20 years have trained out of you. So thinking of doing the thing that's going to build up to something in the future. Because if you neglect your fitness today, by always living in comfort, watching your shows, only watching your shows, not going to the gym, not going for a walk, it's going to compound into something. Achy bones, joints, and we live in a fallen world, so everything's going to break down eventually. But you can accelerate that or you can mitigate that. So if you do the discipline, the friction, do the difficult thing today, it's going to compound into something too. In your marriage, same thing. Either you wake up one day feeling like roommates to your spouse and it's really hard to reconcile, or you do the small things every single day, sacrifice yourself and serve your spouse. Either you pay attention in these formative years to your kids and play with them and enjoy them, or you're going to be faced with the regret of neglect in the future where they don't want to be a part of your life and they walk away from the path of leading them where you want to lead them. So work is transactional design, which is fine. But the people you're transacting with, the people you're giving your most mental energy to, aren't the ones sleeping in the bed with you, aren't the ones having dinner with you. You're placing something that is transactional above people you said you're going to love above all else. And you're justifying it by saying you're providing. But that stopped. You just keep building and building and building, and it's never going to be enough because it's arbitrary. It's this treadmill. Luke 9:23-25. And he said to all, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits his soul, himself? Ephesians 5:25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Proverbs 24:30-34. This is a good one. I passed by a field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense, and behold, it was overgrown with thorns. The ground was covered with nettles, and the wall was broken down. Then I saw it and considered it. I looked and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. So nobody wrecked that vineyard. He just didn't tend to it. A field you leave alone doesn't stay the same. Right? There's still action and inaction. There's still neglect, or there's still movement in a direction even with neglect. It fills with thorns and the wall comes down, and listen to what happens after that. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. Nobody ever decided to lose the vineyard. It just happened. It arrives all at once, like a robber. Galatians 6:9. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So the bill of your neglect, the bill of prioritizing your professional life of all else. Because many of you think that you're undisciplined. You just need more discipline to work out more, to get up early, to spend time in the Word, to do those important things. No, you're perfectly disciplined in alignment with your greatest desire. You need an expulsive power of new infection, as Thomas Chalmers talked about in his sermon in 1819, I believe. You need a greater desire. You need to make God your greatest desire, and that pushes everything else out, and everything else can fall into alignment. Work becomes a gift again. Food and drink becomes a gift, something you can enjoy, and talks about this in Ecclesiastes. If you don't do this, you'll wake up feeling like roommates with your spouse. The kids will leave, and they will just leave. You can't get those years back. Your body will break. What's easy today, what's convenient today, what's comfortable today, what pays you back today. That's what's happening. Every one of these is a bill, and it comes due in the future with interest in the one part of your life you can't rebuild. So you don't fix a 20-year training loop with a video. You fix it by doing one hard thing today with that friction in front of it that gives you, I'm going to reading off this, so this might earn your dopamine. And I wrote this down because I think this is important. You fix it by doing one hard thing today that gives you nothing back, and do it again tomorrow with men who will notice if you don't show up. That's what I built Mission 34. 8 habits across your faith, your family, your fitness, mind, and work. Daily, on purpose, because that's the only speed this moves at. Consistent daily deposits. There's a prize at the end of the month for the person at the top of the leaderboard. It's only $49 a month, which is less than $2 a day. If you have specialty coffees, just get rid of 4 of those coffees a month. And you'll save, well, not save money. I guess you're saving money there and then reinvesting here. But this is actually growing you, whereas a coffee is caffeinating you, which I'm not against. So if you're the person I just described, you want to join us, then do so. And also, if you want to really have growth, I also have openings and get more disciplined. I also have openings in my Man on Mission program a couple times a month. So that'll be in the show notes as well. So the reason you neglect the important things in life is because they're not giving you an instant feedback. They're not giving you instant feedback. They're not paying you. But know that something is happening underneath the surface. And if you're building up, if you're continuing to work to get more professionally, everything is eventually going back to dust, vapor. Here's a new shirt too. coldclub.shop. It's a collection hevel. Feel free to grab one if you want. And it's all going back to the dust, vapor. So pursue what is eternal, steward well, enjoy what you've been given, enjoy the good gifts of God, but don't make them an idol in your life at the sacrifice of eternal human beings. If you found this beneficial, share with a friend, leave some comments below. Appreciate you all. Until next time, earn your dopamine.